Welcome back to the $1 Billion Podcast. $1 Billion thoughts, ideas, and topics. I'm your host, Dr. Matt Guarino. And with me today, Dr. Matt Sharp, who is a dentist all day. How did that go?
Dr. Matt Ford, correction. My name's Dr. Matt Ford.
Oh,
not
did I sound stupid?
Conglomeration of Dr. Matt Sharp. Yeah, I was a dentist all day today. I'm not cut out for it anymore. I'm here to report. Not only was I a dentist all day, I was like a part-time hygienist, part-time dentist today.
Oh my! How many cleanings did you do?
I did 3 and Sarah did 4.
Oh gosh,
we flip-flopped.
That
my
is
wife.
Horrendous.
It was horrendous, man. We single-handedly kept that office going today, but
Yikes.
Due to the novel coronavirus COVID-19, there's not many workers, and it's sweeping through South Dakota right now. So we're just trying to dodge it and as much as possible. Honestly, we've been like pretty successful, but
you know what I'm about to say? It's not due to COVID-19. It's due to the testing conglomeration around COVID-19.
You were going to say something about draconian measures, I bet.
You know all my buzzwords, huh?
You were going to use the word draconian.
No, I mean, I just don't understand the rush. You know, you see lines that are like 300 cars long to get at-home tests just to confirm they have a virus that there's really no, for the non-vulnerable, there's not really a treatment for other than to stay home. So I don't know what is this positive test giving people that they can't feel in their own symptoms and stay home? Like, it makes no sense.
I'm on board with that now. I wonder if part of it has to do with, and this isn't talking about my people because they honestly haven't tested, but I wonder if part of it like nationally has to do with like just wanting to be home and wanting to be off of work.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a climate now where you can say you're symptomatic and whatever boss is going to be like, okay, stay home. Like, so I don't know.
And you'll probably get paid too,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no. I mean, New York requires 40 hours of sick leave a year, which is high.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
What else is going on though?
Oh, we're in our cold spell up in the old Dakotas.
Nice.
So I looked it up this morning. It's one of those mornings where you look up, I Googled the exact words, what is the coldest time of the year in Sioux Falls, South Dakota? Just so I could see if we're getting close to it or not.
Are you?
Because if we weren't, we are. So January 8th through the 17th, I found out, is traditionally the coldest time.
Gotcha.
And then we kind of go back up. But dude, it is, I think we're at, this whole last 3 days, we've been wind chills like consistently in the negative 25 to negative 30s. Consistently. No matter what time of day.
Well, you know what I was doing yesterday? I was whacking balls for an hour and a half in the 70 degree sunshine. It was glorious. I'm playing golf tomorrow. Golf season doesn't end here.
One of the things you do when you live in the Midwest is you just pull up your weather app and you just look at weather of different places around especially around the country.
You just pine for them.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you look up one that's like hopefully colder than where you are. I look up like Minot, North Dakota all the time, or like Fairbanks or something.
Well,
like that.
Is this the snowiest time of year? Because in the Northeast, it was always February was when the big snowstorms hit.
Yeah, I don't know. We have no snow right now. We have no precipitation in the forecast for the next 10 days. So we've had one snow day this entire time. So I don't know. It's weird. I honestly, like, if it was just cold and no snow, I'm okay with it. It's just, I don't know. Because we have to travel so far and we have to travel on like rural roads. So anytime there's any wind or snow, it's like we're like people are canceling all the time and school's closed, and yeah, it's not very fun.
Man, I feel for you. I really do. It's tough. I mean, it's tough. You don't wish that on one of your good friends or your mortal enemy. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. It's really tough.
It's almost like it's just so weird. Like I talk about with all the patients, how like we just all we're okay with it. We complain about it, never leave. Like it's just a weird way of life. And then we're like, well, how do people live in? Like there's literally people living in Alberta right now.
It's always worse somewhere else, but I can tell you, even in the nice climates, you find reasons to complain. When it hits 40 at night, I'm freezing now, and I'm complaining about that. So
you're right.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into
what's up with
you? What's up with me? I don't know, man.
Nice jersey.
Yes, that's what's up with me. All right, good call. So yeah, we at our first game, Share Praxis basketball team, which consists of me, Dylan, our marketing guy, Sean, and Tyler, and then 3 guys I found on Facebook is our team.
Really?
Yep.
Do they get jerseys?
Yeah, they got jerseys, no names. And mine has, if you watch on YouTube, there you go, 88, very basketball number, So we had our first game. We're in the middle intermediate tier of the basketball league, and we got pretty much run. We got run out of the gym to give it short. Yeah,
like former college basketball players level, or
No, probably like played in high school, like a good varsity team, but clearly had been playing together for years as like a men's league team. And yeah, we lost I think 95-50, and it really wasn't even that close. So not a hot start for the squad. The players we got, the three, they're good. They're just I don't know, they're rusty, out of shape. Just like we were a pickup team playing against like an actual men's league team.
Yeah.
And it was no good.
I have no idea what it's like to be rusty and out of shape at basketball, so I don't know what you're talking about.
So we should tell this story. So we play for the last event when the whole team was here. We did a pickup game amongst the shared practice people, and I was on Matt's team. And he didn't have the best game. He missed some threes, some shots he would normally make, and he immediately walks off the course, doesn't say anything to anyone after the game ends, and then texts us that he's going to find a bridge to jump off.
Dude, my retirement speech was like ready to go from basketball ever again. I'm since calmed down since then. Luckily, I had the calming presence of Aaron Miller in the car. Aaron in the car with me.
Nice.
We went and got Chipotle, and he talked me down a little bit. But oh man, it's just so frustrating. Basketball used to be such a big part of my life, and now I played probably 3 times in 10 years or 7 years, and it's one of those things where it's like you can't expect to be good, and you can't expect to be like in shape, or it's like people that go golfing once a year and then like slam their clubs and get all pissed about it. It's like, well, it's a hard game, man. Like you gotta it's hard for the people to practice every day, so like you're not gonna be that good. So that was hard for me to take, and also I just kind of got like I felt like a little kid guarding Alex Sharp, so that part
I think
wasn't real fun. I don't want to catch any swinging elbows or any.
No, I mean getting out of there without even a bruise is a win when you're playing a beast like Alex. Like, I mean, he makes mere, humans look like little ants. Yeah. So, but we have our next game end of next week, so you better be ready to step on the court and actually.
A league game or a shared practice?
No, we got a shared practice game. Got the whole crew in again for my course.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm undecided.
Oh, all right. We'll work on that.
I'll definitely play, but I'm gonna.
All right, so we got a good episode planned. We have an ad coming up next. We have a couple good topics, of course, a COVID corner. I know that's why you're all here. We're going to talk a bit about wellness stuff and a little bit of testosterone, surprisingly. Let's get into the ad, right? So I don't know if you saw in the news, a lot of the major figures around the resistance to the COVID policies have been deplatformed from major social media platforms. Most notably, Dr. Robert Malone, who appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast, who is one of the inventors of the mRNA vaccine technology. He was removed from LinkedIn, removed from Twitter. The episode on that podcast was deplatformed, removed from YouTube. So there's been a lot of, big tech censorship. Anything that's going to promote vaccine hesitancy, big tech will do everything in their power to discredit the person saying it and remove them from their platforms, which is ridiculous. So in response, this new platform came out called Getter, Gettr, and it is promoting free speech and will not be doing any of the draconian measures that these other social media giants do. So we encourage everyone to find social media platforms that do not discriminate on views that don't support the national narrative. And, this also goes to like messaging apps. Like I use Signal a lot with my friends. It's an encrypted platform. It's not owned by Facebook, WhatsApp, or something like that. So Getter, proud sponsor today. Thank you for the sponsorship from such a growing company.
On a scale of like 0 to January 6th, how right-wing is Getter? Just on a scale.
So if January 6th is the 10, you're talking about like an 8.
Okay.
Yeah. It has
so it's like a Trump thing.
Yeah, it has affiliation with Trump Media Company. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. Not hiding behind that. Just saying.
Yeah. Hey, whatever.
Trump, not someone I support, but I do support the message of free speech and free flowing ideas.
I like it. I like how you can disambiguate whatever the word is.
That's definitely not a word.
Disassociate. I don't know.
All right, let's get into first.
I like it. Never heard of it.
Yeah, look into it. So Joe Rogan moved over there. Dr. Malone moved over there, and each got a bunch of followers right away. I think the platform only has at this point probably about 4 million users, but it's growing.
Okay,
big time.
Is he still on Spotify? No, he's not off of Spotify.
Joe Rogan. No, he's not. I mean, he brings in so much money for them that they can't get it. I mean, give him a huge deal like that. Yeah, and then Matt sends me a podcast to listen to around COVID, 3 hours long. What do you think I do all day? You think I literally...
I think you look at COVID stuff all day. That's literally what I think you do all day.
Do you know my attention span? I can't listen to a 3-hour podcast. I did make it through like an hour and a half, and we'll talk about it later in the show. But Like,
Good.
come on, man. I mean, that's a long podcast.
I know every one of Peter Tia podcasts is like for sure over 2 hours. But so is Joe Rogan.
I know, that's why I don't listen to them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't make it through all that. Anyways, let's get to our first topic. So we're going to talk testosterone today. So if you're a female listener, I'm sorry. This doesn't really apply to you at all. So sorry. But Matt, like, what comes to mind when I say testosterone? Like, what do you think about? I'm just curious.
Before I knew anything about it, so I'd say I'd like kind of gotten educated in the last maybe 6 months or so on testosterone. But before I knew anything about it, I thought it was talking about like taking what you would consider just like steroids.
Yeah.
Like that was like my word association. If you said testosterone, I said steroids.
Yeah, for like guys our age, we think of steroids, testosterone as like the steroid era in baseball. You know, in what was that, the 90s? Where you know, players' heads were huge. They were hitting 70 home runs a year.
What a good time, by the way.
I know. I would love if it would come back. You know, just saying. Like if they want to take it, take it. I mean, it made the product better. That's undeniable.
It's so good, yeah.
But you know, there's a big difference between what we're about to talk about and that. In that case, they were abusing steroids to, you know, superhuman levels to get them to be superhuman size. So we're not talking about that. I do want to talk about the effects of low testosterone because if you look at the data in the last 30 years, testosterone in males has been steadily decreasing. There's a lot of reasons for that. The couple things that are linked to low testosterone, and I'll talk about what a normal range is in a second and what a low range is. Low energy, depression, erectile dysfunction, decreased muscle mass, increased body fat, decreased bone mass, increased risk for cardiovascular disease. I would say all of those are pretty important to a male who's, you know, in a healthy age, wouldn't you say?
Right. Yep.
So super important hormone. It's made in our testes. It's in the adrenal glands. It's responsible for things like hair, bone, muscle growth, a bunch of other things. It's either in our body as bound or free. So free are the flowing ones that can go to the cells and impact change. And that's actually the number that's most important when it comes to testosterone, how much you have available to use. So about 98% is bound, 2% is free. So much fewer of it is actually free and available. You know, my whole goal with this, if you leave anything from this segment, I want males out there to get tested every 6 months. I'm not advocating for doing a certain thing once you get tested other than trying to improve it if it's at a lower levels. But I think it's really important for people to know. And that's kind of the stigma I want to take around it is that you need to know.
What is the easiest way to get tested?
That's a great question. So the easiest way to
Have you gotten tested?
So I'm getting tested on Wednesday, and I'll share my results whenever I get them on this podcast. And I'll talk about how you know, if I'm in a lower range, what I'm doing to improve them. But the easiest way to get tested is go to Quest Diagnostics. You know, just Google that, and you buy the test. The test name is, I thought I wrote it down. Oh, here we go. It's a full panel hormone test. So you're not just getting tested for testosterone. It's a bunch of different hormones. So you buy it from Quest, and then you go to one of their sites and just go in and take a lab test, whatever. So the normal range that, you know, is purported in, you know, society is 300 to 1100. That's a huge range, right? Like
that is a big range.
But really, the optimal range for a male would be between 800 and 1100. Now, obviously,
doesn't matter your age.
Yeah,
your age.
I mean, obviously, as we age, testosterone goes down. But most men, they say, need to maintain a level above 600 to 700 to feel good and healthy. And you know, most men walk around with much lower than that.
Right.
And then as far as the free testosterone, which I mentioned is the more important, 25 to 32 is optimal. 5 to 21 is considered normal. So again, a huge range on that. I don't know why they do that. So let's say I get tested and I'm at a lower range. I'm at a 450 or something. Okay, what would you think I would do to combat that?
Supplements and or increased workout. I mean, just diet, exercise, the whole everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, you hit on the big ones, right? Like lifting weights to increase muscle mass, get a positive correlation with testosterone, a balanced diet, nutrient-rich food. We'll talk a lot about this in the back end of the show on the wellness. Eating an adequate amount of protein will increase your testosterone. Sleep, getting 7 to 8 hours of your sleep. It's really important. The most important parts of your sleep cycle are the deep and the REM. This is why we are both Whoop users, and they, you know, track both of those different cycles.
Yep.
Last two, cutting out alcohol is a big one. I am 4 days alcohol free. How about yourself?
Did you? I had a beer last night.
Okay.
We had our Christmas party for our offices, and I got peer pressured into getting a like a tall Busch Light, and it was
Ooh.
delicious. I haven't had a beer in like probably 3 months, because if I do drink, I like now have red wine or something. And
Yeah.
dude, it hit the absolute spot. But
Uh,
did you order hot water?
I'm about to.
Okay, get on that.
I've had a well, the only thing they had at Sprouts was a green tea with hops. It was like a Citra hops green tea, but it had a little caffeine in it, which I didn't like because normally I drink
Got it,
beer at
yeah.
the evening. I don't want caffeine then, so
Right,
I do need
yeah.
to buy that. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, yep.
So that's
Well, I also want to say too, if you don't have a Quest Diagnostics by you, I just looked it up.
Mhm.
Everlywell, which is the company that I have used for other at-home diagnostic tests, like my food allergy test that I did, they have they have a full at-home men's health test that's $199, and then the at-home just testosterone test for $49.
Nice, perfect,
So, just
awesome.
for the listeners.
Okay, and then the last one being keeping your body fat at a healthy level, and by healthy I mean 8 to 15%. I think most Americans are over that for sure. Even
Yeah.
a lot of our friends are over that.
Right.
So making sure to keep that in there. That will all increase your level of testosterone, naturally without any supplements. And we're going to
Right.
talk about supplements in a second. Okay, so the next part is, once you get tested, what to do with that. Do you consult with a medical professional around your levels? What I am suggesting is that you don't go to your general practice doctor and show them the results. They're not really trained so much in, hormone type therapy. You really should be going
Right.
to a hormone specialist.
Right.
The company, whatever that I will be using is called Viking Alternative Medicine. Fully remote.
Interesting.
You just send them your test results. They meet with you on a Zoom call and they go over them. It's free. They are also a provider of testosterone therapy, which I'm about to talk about. So don't go to your MD. Death to doctors.
Interesting.
All right. So let's say, you've tried the I don't know, quote unquote natural ways to improve your testosterone and you're not getting there. So for me, what I'm planning on doing when I get these results is if they're in a lower, not a range that I want, I'm going to try to do everything I said in that list to improve it. And I'm going to test again every 6 months. I'm going to do that for a little while. Now, if you want a way that's going to get you the results quicker, that exists. So it's called testosterone replacement therapy. And that is the process of administering exogenous testosterone via an injection. I mean, this does harken back to the baseball steroid era. You're literally going to inject something, not in your ass probably, but maybe in your shoulder. I don't know where they put it. But it's a controlled dose. So you're not going to be taking it to get above that optimal level. You're basically going to supplement your testosterone to get into the optimal level, which a lot of men are walking around with, as it is, just naturally. You're just using a supplement to get you there quicker.
Right. So for the ladies in the audience, this would be similar to doing like hormone replacement therapy for estrogen or something.
Yeah, you would
similar
think.
to that.
You would think. I don't know a lot about it, but yeah. Probably. All right. So let's talk about testosterone replacement therapy is called TRT. So we're going to use TRT going forward. So is TRT right for you? Okay.
Yeah.
You have to know when you start TRT, that is a lifelong decision. Your body will become reliant on that, and it's not really something you cycle off. So go into it, if you're considering it and you talk to a hormone specialist, you're doing it for life. Is what it is. I wouldn't, and everything I've read about it, they don't recommend it. Anyone over 20, anyone under 25. So if you're even in your 20s, it's a little soon for that. I think a good barometer is like a 35 and older. Is a good time to do this.
Isn't there something with? Sorry, you probably are going to say this, but like TRT and the potential for like infertility in males, or is there anything is that why they don't recommend it for people kind of in that child having range, or?
Historically, yes, there's a supplement that goes with it. We'll talk about that. We'll counteract that. It's definitely an effect for sure.
Okay.
So assuming you're over 25, I would say 35 or older, you're testing below the optimal range, you're okay with it being a lifelong decision, and you've tried everything to naturally improve your testosterone without this. Assuming that's all true, I think testosterone replacement therapy is a great thing for people.
Sure.
So let's go through some side effects because, unlike the vaccines, according to our leaders, we should talk about the side effects of things. We shouldn't just, push them aside and deplatform people who talk about side effects of things. We should actually talk about So one of which is going to be an increased red blood cell count. So that means you're going to have thicker blood, meaning it's going to clot easier. What you can do to mitigate that, and all the side effects have a mitigation strategy. You can donate blood regularly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. There, like you said, infertility is one. You take something called human. I'm going to butcher this name. Oh, geez. Human chorionic gonadotropin, HCG. It's a fertility drug used to maintain fertility. Also maintains your testicular size, which I know is very important to men.
Interesting. Very important. Especially in the locker rooms.
Yeah, of course. It's going to alter, it could alter your lipid levels. So it's going to raise your bad cholesterol and lower your good cholesterol. That is mitigated through a proper diet and the supplement of krill oil, which is something I take. You might have some growth of your breast tissue. That's a potential side effect. That's easy to mitigate with something called an aromatase inhibitor, which testosterone converts to estrogen, and that's a drug that stops that conversion. So if you end up doing TRT therapy, they will give you an aromatase inhibitor, they will give you a HCG fertility drug, and they will give you what's called a selective estrogen receptor modulator, which mimics and blocks estrogen, stops your estrogen from getting too high. So you're going to take all of those drugs along with your testosterone. You pretty much can't take testosterone just by itself.
Got it.
You would be suffering the side effects.
So could you take just going back to the blood clotting part, could you just take like an aspirin or some sort of like, is there different with the red blood cell count being higher? Do blood thinners affect red blood cell count levels? You know what I'm saying?
I'm not sure. I don't know. That would make sense in my head, in my dumb brain.
Yeah, I don't know. There's got to be someone that's in or around dental school that's taken a class more recently than we have that would probably be able to tell us. bdpbod.com.
So Tyler Chobert is under TRT. He said it was okay that I mentioned that. And he's going to come on in a future episode and talk about he's seen dramatic improvements in not only his physique, which is kind of a byproduct, but also his mood, his energy levels, his level of happiness. It is really, I hope this isn't too harsh to say, but really changed his life. So we're going to get his input, in a future episode.
So how old is Tyler? He's 20.
Tyler is 27, I think. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I wonder, I guess we could ask him when he comes on, but like, what was the impetus for him actually making the move to do it? Because he was a very healthy person before, he worked out and did the whole bit, and ate well. I wonder why he decided to do it.
Yeah, just speaking for him a little bit, I think he was, he's been a pretty serious weightlifter for years, dropped off here and there, but he was stuck at kind of like this internal plateau and just really frustrated about not seeing any changes in his body, even with good habits. And this is one way, and it's a very safe way in everything I've read about it to, really markedly change your physique along with good diet, sleep, and, working out.
Sure.
He looks totally different. Looks like a different person.
He looks insanely different. Yeah.
It's like a behemoth.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Nothing fits him anymore. He has zero clothes that fit anymore.
I already told him I wanted his Lulu clothes when they didn't fit. I didn't hear back. It's an asshole.
So where would you go then? Like, where does he go to get the actual injections? If you don't go to your primary care doctor, you don't you said your thing is fully online, the thing you were talking about.
Yeah, he goes to a place called Ageless here in Scottsdale. In cities, they'll have these like hormone clinics. They're popping up everywhere because this stuff is really taking off because people are realizing the benefits. You can Google it and probably find them. I don't like going into an office, and like sitting there in a waiting room and then nurse has got to put something in my butt, I like inject something. And I don't know. So it's pretty easy to have it shipped.
Right there in the waiting room.
Yeah, right there. No, but I think as far as like, when you're getting to middle age and definitely in your older age, this is a no-brainer. Like I'm dancing around it for younger people. Like it's a no-brainer, in my opinion, when you're, of a certain age. Just like, why there's no reason not to do it. You're living like you're in your 20s when you're in your 40s and 50s. Like what is the impetus not to do it? I don't know.
Right. Especially with the counteracting agents, I think that, the biggest thing was side effects. But then if there are like safe ways to counteract the side effects, then it really makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's a no-brainer. I don't know why you wouldn't. For me, I do, even with the, even with the counteractor to fertility, I would still be worried for myself if I was on it. I probably will wait until those years are over. But who
Sure.
knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Did Tyler take a test and he was low, or he just like wanted to go higher than where he already was?
Yeah, they won't give it to you if you're, I don't know the
Oh,
exact number, but if you're up there, they won't give it to you.
okay.
So he wasn't like markedly low. He'll say his exact number, but it was probably about average.
Sure.
Nothing, nothing low, nothing high.
Yeah.
So there you have it. So this is the start of trying to destigmatize testosterone. It is
Yeah, I
our
like that.
friend, and we should look to ways to enhance it, either through behaviors or through injections.
When I think of testosterone, I think of those Frank Thomas commercials with Nugenics. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Have you ever seen those? They're so dumb, but now I'm looking at Nugenics. It's a free testosterone booster. It's just a pill. Why don't you just do that?
I guess you could. Yeah. I don't
I
know.
don't know. It probably doesn't. Who knows? They sell at GNC
Oh, do they?
anyway. Yeah.
All right. Well, since we're
Yeah.
in kind of the wellness area,
Yeah.
you wanted to talk about some, accountability type stuff getting into this new year, and
Yeah.
so tell
Well,
me
we
where you're
mentioned on
at
the
and where you want to go.
yeah, we mentioned on the last podcast that 2022, especially at the very end of the last podcast, you mentioned that what you were looking forward to in 2022 was to really double down and like make intentional decisions on health and have like specific things that you're going to do
Mhm.
either every day or every week or every month or something like that. And as someone that has, in the last maybe 5 or 6 months, like studied a lot more, and now I'm getting to the point where I actually want to like implement a lot of stuff. I think it'd be interesting to go over what you're going to do, because pretty much everything you're going to do, I'm just going to try to do anyway, and then
Works for me.
we can kind of compare and contrast our like how well we. Because I mean, just knowing me, I need an accountability person if I'm going to do anything, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I'm the same way.
and then we can kind of share our progress, and because we're different people, so we might have different struggles or triumphs or whatever during the progress. So I think it'd be interesting to go through. I think you had a list of things that you want to do, specific things, and then we can kind of talk about those.
Yeah, for sure. And the good thing about what I'm about to go over is it's very customizable. My strength training regime might look a lot different than yours, and your
Sure.
cardio
Yeah.
might look different than mine. But they're all general principles that will be good for any human, man or woman. Um,
Yeah.
so I got this. I subscribe to this guy's. I'm a big Substack guy. I don't know if you use Substack, but
Yeah.
it's another way to get like direct from the source news without the filtering and the bias of coming from a media corporation or whatever. So I subscribe to this guy. It's called Bowtied Ox. He's like a
Mm.
crypto bodybuilder who's like 24, and he's incredible when it comes to fitness, diet, wellness, longevity. He just is so
Yeah.
knowledgeable and breaks it down for a normal human to understand. So credit to him for what I'm about to go over, because I just took this from the Substack. I am a paying member, so
Sure.
I feel like I could do that. So he talks about a 30-day challenge that I've started this month, and the importance of this is tracking. So I use this habit journal called the Clear Habit Journal. It's from James Clear, the writer of Atomic Habits, one of my favorite books. So in the back, there's like a habit tracker thing.
Yep.
So all of this I track on
Yep.
there. So if you're gonna do something that's like structured, that you're gonna check in on stuff daily, just record it somewhere, whether you use that or anything else.
Yeah.
All right, first thing, wake up and go to bed at the same time and have 7-8 hours of sleep. Can you do that? I think you're
Yeah.
pretty good at that, right? Inherently.
That's the one thing that I'm like probably better than most at. Yes.
Okay. So I have like sleep strategies. I'll go over them for the listeners. You probably already do a lot of
Sure.
these things. Cold room, super quiet, pitch black, no,
62 degrees. Check.
yep, no blue light. Right before bed for sure.
Yep.
No caffeine. This is another rule. No caffeine post 2 p.m. You're not a caffeine guy, so you're good there.
No.
And then just general stress reduction. If you're super stressed, if you're thinking about a lot of things, your mind's racing, you're not going to sleep well. Not going to go to bed easy.
Yep. One
Um,
thing I do every single night, and I can't not, is I shower before I go to sleep every single
really?
night. I also shower when I wake up every morning, but like I can't. If I just go, I mean, there's like maybe twice in a year I'll just fall asleep because I'm that tired. But like, I don't know. This is weird, and I'm airing this on a public thing, but I always just shower in the dark and then just stand there.
You do? That's funny.
And yeah, So now I've adopted showering in the dark to every shower I take. I just always shower in the dark,
Really?
just because it's my time to relax and, oh, dude, I love it. Yeah, so
Did,
that's a really big thing for me. I don't know if you ever heard of, the company Chili Pad.
I've seen ads
You
for
ever heard of
them.
Chili Pad?
They've targeted me.
Oh, yeah. So I got targeted about a year and a half ago, and, they'd be amazing in Arizona, but we have one. So Sarah and I both have one. We have a king bed, but she has her own little. It's like a mattress pad that goes under your mattress
Yep.
pad
Hmm.
that has kind of you can go from like 55 degrees to 110.
Oh,
So like if
nice.
you can customize however you want. I have mine. She has hers. I keep mine at about 60ish, and our ambient room temperature is like 62.
Mhm.
Um, and that's been really big for me too. So that's another thing. It's kind of expensive, but like if you're hot, like you have zero chance at sleeping. Especially me, I have
Well,
zero
that's weird
chance.
because I feel like if you would shower right before bed, aren't you hot going into the bed?
Yes, yes, and that's why I had to come up with something like
Okay,
chili pad
counteract that.
to be able to like.
Nice.
That's exactly right.
Eh,
Yes, I am hot because I take like a super hot shower, and a lot of times I just don't even. I mean, like I'll clean myself, but like then I just stand there for a while and just like I don't know, think about
Oh
things I
yeah,
should have
think
said to
about life.
people. Or,
All your regrets.
all my good comebacks that come back in the shower, like
Dude, that's the worst. Best comeback right after you left the conversation. Damn, that
yeah.
stinks. All right, so that's your sleep one.
Yeah.
All right, as soon as you get up, 35 ounces of water, right down the gullet.
Bad at that.
Yeah.
Really bad at that.
I mean, think about it. Like we sleep 8 hours a night. We have no water. Literally, that's the first thing we need. So, soon after waking, call it the first 20 minutes when you're out of bed, chug that water.
Oh, I'm getting thirsty right now thinking about that.
All right. Next up, workout is an important one. So we're gonna do 3 to 4 days of strength training a week. So Matt, go through your strength training routine. What do you got going on?
Yeah, I enlisted the help of a personal trainer, a guy that I hope to have on the podcast at some point. Really, really impressive guy. He's a year younger than us and has just opened up his second gym. He's kind of competing against the big gyms and
Ah, I
doing
love it.
like the local gym route and stuff. And
Hmm.
there's like a lot of parallels to like opening up another practice and stuff. So we talk about it all the time. But I got with him, I think in October, November.
Hmm.
And so we do it in person 3 days a week, and then I go another day of the week.
Hmm.
And sometimes I don't do that last day of the week, so sometimes it's only 3 days a week. Um, but he's just there with me. I mean, I've lifted kind of my whole life. I'm a skinny guy, but like I've played organized sports. I played college basketball, so like there's like team lifting and stuff. And I was always I was like skinny, so I couldn't lift a lot of weights. But I was also just like I'm realizing now that like not only was I not strong, my technique was really really bad. So it was like a double whammy of why I couldn't lift.
Well, lifting
Like
at your
why I was
height is much more technically difficult.
it's not fun, yeah. So, like, why squatting is, like, the worst thing ever is, first of all, it's because 'cause I'm not that strong, but second of all, because I have, like, 0 ankle mobility, so, like, I can't unless I wear, like or unless I put, like, plates underneath my heels or something to be
Yeah,
able
you
to
wear
actually
like
squat.
I have lifting shoes that have heels on
See, I
them.
didn't even know those existed. I
Yeah,
found out those existed. So, like, but
they're the
that's
best.
for, like, every lift that I've done traditionally, he's kind of taught me, like, the right way to do it and what to feel while I'm doing it, and now I, like, really concentrate a whole lot more on, like, holding certain parts and like stretching during the lift and stuff. It's a completely revolutionized way I train. Also, I actually go. Like that's the big thing for
That's a
me.
big one.
There's been at least 6 or 7 times where if he wasn't waiting for me, I would have been made up an excuse to not go.
Yeah,
So
no.
it's worth the money that I pay for it, and I want to continue to do it for indefinitely because again, for me, the accountability is like that's 90% of the money I'm paying, and then the other 10% is like, learning kind of how to lift. But like I could do it by myself. He could just give me a program. I
I
could go do it by
mean,
myself. But first of all, I also don't finish like I've done a couple times where I'm by myself and like I get lazy on the last couple reps, or I do 8 instead of 10, And if he's
mhm.
there, like I'm 100% doing all the reps that he's prescribed. And
Yeah,
so
oh, for
it's
sure.
I don't
I mean, this is similar to dental coaching, right? Like, I mean, I think owners they can figure it out, but when you have someone like holding you accountable,
oh
you got to meet with them every month. You're gonna make sure your house is in order so you don't look like an idiot,
yeah,
and you're gonna
yeah,
actually do this stuff because they're gonna be like, "Hey, did you do that stuff from last month? You dummy!"
very true.
And
Yeah,
then you'll do it.
so true.
All right, so that's
Yep.
big. So I don't need the motivation personally. I love going to the gym and lifting. That's my favorite thing to do ever. So that one I'm pretty reliable myself about. The next one I'm not. So we're going to do one or 2 days of cardio and specifically zone 2 cardio. So This is
Yes, let's
important.
talk about zone 2.
So zone 2 is the zone 60 to 75% of your max heart rate. So you can go on Google and you can use whatever formula they have to calculate your max heart rate, take 60 to 75% of it, and that's where you want to be spending time in your cardio.
Yep.
And that, I would say, about 20 to 30 minutes, probably about minimum in that
Yep.
zone. And, this is one good thing about the gym equipment. You put your hands on the little thing, they tell you your heart
Yeah.
rate. We wear a Whoop, which tells us our heart rate. So use something to
Yep.
figure out your heart rate and make sure you're looking, you're checking it. I guess maybe when the first time you did do the cardio routine, so you kind of know.
Yeah.
But that's super important.
I've been on zone 2 now for probably 3 or 4 months, like, actively trying like, pretty much only training cardio in zone 2.
Mhm.
There's actually a really good podcast by my guy, Peter Attia, shout out the Drive
Is it
podcast.
3 hours?
It probably let me look. But it's, the guy so this guy, he's like some scientist at University of Denver, but he also it was actually one of the most recent ones. It's 2 hours and 16 minutes. No, 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Beautiful.
But, this guy is like, he trains, like, Tour de France athletes
Oh, wow.
and is, like, super, super into, like, mitochondria and lactate and that
Yes.
kind of stuff, and
Mitochondria is so
he's
big.
like yes, the entire thing's about zone 2. So if you're a Peloton user, it will automatically calculate your functional
That's sick.
threshold FTP,
Yep.
and then it'll give you your zones on the bottom of your ride. So I can just automatically go into my zone 2 and hit it for 30 minutes. So that's been like one big advantage of that. And it's funny too because zone 2. So if people are thinking about it, there's you have 1 through 7 in zones, right? So 1 is like you're barely doing anything.
Mhm.
Zone 2 is like pretty easy, and that's the hard thing about it. Like it's not supposed to be hard.
No.
You're not like running fast.
No,
So you're not
you
like
can get it from brisk walking, honestly.
yes, you can absolutely. I mean if I jogged, I would be over zone 2. My heart rate just like
Yep.
goes way up when I jog.
Mhm.
But when I bike for some reason, my heart rate doesn't go up that high, so I have to bike probably a little bit harder, but it's all a personal measurement. So like for the Tour de France athletes, he still trains them in zone 2.
Wow.
And zone 2 is essentially like you can do it, but the problem is their zone 2 is like
Much
up
higher.
here, and my zone 2 is down here. But like, you can do zone 2 for I think they say like it's like one of those things where you can do for at least an hour, and you can just hold a conversation while you're doing zone 2 cardio. So it's like if you're out for a brisk walk or you're going 16, 17, 18 miles an hour on a bike, just on a flat road. Like it's not hard. And I think naturally, like me and you, I want to like go in there. So if I'm doing cardio, I just want to like punish myself, get done like 10, 15 minutes and
Yes.
like, like a hit workout or a Tabata workout, something
Right.
like that. And there's some good stuff about that. But like, I think I'm finding more and more about like the mitochondria benefits of zone 2. And now I'm just going to lift and do zone 2 training, I think, for the next little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect. And
It's also too, let me just say, it's also something you can like stay on top of because like I said, zone 2 is not hard. So you're not going to dread going and doing zone 2 cardio.
hey, speak for
Like you
yourself,
said, you
man.
could walk, you could, you could walk on an incline on a
Yeah.
treadmill for, 15, 20 minutes and like, yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you referenced a couple of reasons zone 2 is important. Zone 2 is one of the biggest drivers of longevity. And why is that? Zone 2 training increases the number of mitochondria and increases mitochondria efficiency, meaning your mitochondria are going to use fat for energy and not glucose and glycogen. Super important.
Yep.
Lowers your resting heart rate. One of the big things we track on Whoop, lower RHR,
Yep.
higher HRV, decreases your blood pressure, lowers your risk of injury, and increases your metabolic flexibility. And anything around mitochondrial health, crucial for longevity. I mean, you've referenced it. I'm sure you've heard Peter Attia talk about it a lot. So
Yep.
super, super important.
And two, they were just saying on the podcast that it's kind of like zone 2 is kind of like your maximum. After you go past zone 2, you're past your maximum of like the mitochondria benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why zone 2 has been isolated as like the zone to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also saying something about how it's kind of like your most bang for your buck in fat burning at zone 2. And you also like the one really big thing is you can clear the lactate that builds up. If you can't clear lactate that builds up in your body, you're going to be just generally unhealthy metabolically.
Yep.
But at zone 2, you can clear the lactate a lot easier. And again, there's a lot of downstream effects of being able to clear lactate in your body. So
for sure. I mean, this is one that I struggle with. I have one through my basketball game. That's probably a little bit above zone 2 for some of it.
probably.
But I was just at the gym today, riding on the bike and on the elliptical. I haven't done that 10 years, maybe. Like to go to a gym and not lift is like unheard of for me in my life. But here I am. I'm doing it.
I love it. Would you consider getting a Peloton?
No,
Do you like going to the gym that much?
Yeah, it's just easier.
Like physically going to the gym?
Yeah, I do. If I was busy or more, if I was a
Right,
practicing dentist, I think it'd make more
right.
sense. But no, I enjoy it. All right, this next one I think you're gonna need help with. Uh, 4 meals a day. Can you do that?
Uh, yeah, meals are kind of weird for me, but like I think I can. I mean, this whole time I've been personal training, I weigh like what am I, 190-ish?
Mhm.
And so I've been getting anywhere between 180 to 200 grams of protein a day.
Nice.
So sometimes it doesn't form in like actual meals,
Mhm.
but I will have a shake or a protein bar or something like that to kind of supplement in between. I for sure eat lunch. I for sure eat dinner, and sometimes I'll have just like a protein shake in the morning. So 4 meals a day is kind of tough, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I mean the reason for that is we want to have meals and not snacking. Like we want to have,
Mm,
and it can be more than four. It's just four is a minimum. So it can be six, it can be five. So
right.
four, only eating this is another part of this. Only whole foods, no snacking, and nothing that
Yeah.
has seed oils in them. They are in everything processed. Chips,
Yeah.
crackers. I shop at Sprouts, which is like a Whole Foods equivalent, and I looked at all the snacks, and they're like, healthy, but every single one, palm oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, canola
Yep.
oil. That's and I'll do a deeper dive on a different podcast about seed oils, but they're one of the biggest things to avoid.
Yep.
So, okay. Next up, proper pre and post workout nutrition. So, Matt,
Interesting.
what is your typical pre and post workout nutrition look like?
So I'll have a protein. I'll have either a protein shake or I have a because I'm a skinny boy. I have a mass builder
Oh,
that
I used to use that.
has some creatine in it. So post workout, I'll do that.
Uh huh.
Pre workout, I'm pretty high strung individual, so I really usually don't need a whole lot of pre workout. So I haven't really done that much, and I'm interested in getting more out of my stuff. So I'm interested in hear what the best thing to do would be.
Sure. I mean, just generally pre workout, you want to have, and you don't want to be eating right before workout or really right after. You want to have, call it 45 minutes, buffer. So when I say pre workout in food, keep that in mind. Uh,
Sure.
Pre-workout is when you want to have your carbs, the stuff you're going to use for energy in your workout.
Right.
For me, I use pre-workout every time. I use the non-stimulant type, so I don't have any caffeine in my pre-workout. I do have creatine in it. That's super important. So creatine is a must if you are someone who wants to put on muscle mass. It's been,
Mm.
universally studied. It's one of the safest drugs out there, and its benefits are vast. There's like weird stuff in like the popular culture around creatine, like it's gonna blow
Yeah.
your kidneys out or just garbage. All of that stuff is not supported in scientific studies. Trust me, I've looked. So please don't be afraid of it. It's very essential to muscle growth.
Do you have a favorite creatine supplement that you take?
So it's in my pre-workout, which is from Gorilla Fitness. I actually just got a shipment today. Really good.
So
It's
is
also really cheap if
creatine
you buy
better
it.
to take pre workout or post workout?
Doesn't matter. Yeah,
Okay.
creatine can be taken anytime. And if you buy it by itself, creatine monohydrate, it's really cheap also, which is another benefit of it.
Yeah.
So post workout, something with protein for sure. I like where your head's at with that shake. And then I take essential amino acids, a little powder
Mm.
in a thing that really helps with preventing soreness and like getting you ready to do another workout the next day. Because in this program, as you can see, you're going to be working out 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Cardio can be in many forms, but you're going to be active 6 days a week. So you're
Right.
going to have to be recovered. That's important. All right, this one I haven't been able to do consistently. It's been really tough. So a 10-minute walk after every meal. Yeah,
I live in the Midwest, bro. There's no
I
chance.
know.
There's negative 26 outside. Let's
All
be
right, I'll
real.
give you a pass on that one, but for me, I have no excuse. But I've been trying. I talked about
What's the rationale?
I didn't write it down.
Mm,
Yeah, no, don't know.
fair enough.
Probably promoting digestion and settling and things. If I
Yeah,
had
I'm
to
sure.
guess.
Yeah. Yep.
I talked about no caffeine after 2 p.m. No phone 60 minutes before bed. This is a tough one for me. I don't know about you.
Very tough for me.
Yes. So they say you shouldn't put it by your nightstand. I'm actually a weirdo. When I go to sleep, I have to be listening to something in my headphones as I go to sleep. Isn't that kind of weird?
Yeah.
You know people like that? I don't.
Yeah. My wife and me.
Oh,
So
you do it too?
Sarah listens to murder podcasts in her headphones. I turn on box fan sound on Amazon Music and
So it's
just
just
blast
noise.
it from my phone. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I
So
listen.
I want an actual fan blowing on me, but I want the sound of a box fan. So That's my number one played song like 3 years in a row on Amazon Music is
Nice.
Box Fan Sound.
All right, well, let's really try for this one because I really believe in it. Of all the effects of blue light on sleep and just like kind of getting off our phones a little bit. Because I think both of us are pretty addicted to
60
phones.
minutes before sleep?
60 minutes before bed.
Holy.
Yep.
I'm gonna try 30. Oh, I'll do 60.
Whatever. I mean, start small. I'm big about as he says in the Atomic Habits book, like starting habits really small. Like if you're starting a meditation practice habit, meditate for 2 minutes a day.
Right.
Like if you want to journal, write one line. Now just
Right.
start the habit of doing it, and then you can build up over time. So whatever works.
You're gonna be sick of me saying this, but that James Clear guy was just on the Peter Attia podcast.
I am sick of you saying that. Very
2 hours and
astute.
16 minutes that one. So
good. Wow. They really
it's only a month old, so it's probably some newer stuff. So you might like it.
I'll listen to it. I like James Clear. We're gonna take pictures once a month, naked except for our underwear. All the angles, front, back, flexing, the whole deal. Side.
Okay.
You're gonna weigh yourself once a month. You're gonna have weight goals. So your short-term weight goals, your long-term weight goals, just whatever it is for you that you want to hit. Every Monday, you're gonna kind of check in on the past week. How did I do with these daily habits? How is my energy? How is my digestion? How's my appetite? How's my sleep? Using Whoop data. Using just your tracking from the week and how you did. So looking on that every Monday. So our goal here, and that's the whole program, is to start with perfect days, then get to perfect weeks, and if we're seriously insane, we would get perfect months. I don't know how I would ever get a perfect month, but I can do perfect days, and then I can eventually do perfect weeks, I think.
Yep, same.
There it is.
I like that.
That's your program.
Okay, yeah, I love that. Sounds good to me.
And then this is like supplemental. So that was, like I said, something I took, and this is something I'm adding on. So I use the app Productive to track like daily habits, and some of them are overlapping with what we just went over. Some of them are different. So I do all these every day, and I track them, and I try to have perfect days, the whole deal. So stretching and foam rolling every day.
Okay.
And what I just found out about foam rolling is you're only supposed to go over your muscles and not like your ligaments at all. Did you know that?
No.
So like, your IT band, you ever foam rolled that? Like it's super sensitive.
Yep.
Not supposed to be rolling that.
Just your muscles. Okay.
So
what about Theragun? Could I replace that with Theragun?
Yeah, probably. But like you can't, you couldn't get your back with a Theragun unless someone was doing it for you.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, Theraguns are good. So I have a goal to actually reach like the bottom of my feet with that legs out stretch. Never been able to do that. Always wonder what it would feel like. So I'm getting there. I'm actually pretty far away. All right, the workout we talked about. Your vitamins. I've talked about this on the show, right? Your multivitamin, zinc, magnesium for sleep, vitamin B, krill oil, turmeric, and then your creatine. All those every day. Hydration, 3 liters a day, minimum.
I really need to get on that.
Yeah, get a water bottle that's big.
I saw yours. Did you just get one on Amazon? Maybe I'll buy one right now.
Yeah, it's I mean that is exactly 3 liters.
I just searched big water bottle.
Yeah. So the way that I've actually gotten consistent with this, and I have for the last several months, is having a lot of these powders. Like I use an electrolyte powder. That's my I should have said this is my morning drink of water. I put in electrolytes, so it tastes like I have a blueberry flavor, so it tastes good and not just like normal water. And then, when I have pre-workout, that's more water. When I have the essential amino acids, that's more water. So that just right there, having 32 ounces of each of those is that's most of your day. So you don't have to be spending it drinking boring water and like worrying about it. If you just do that kind of stuff, you'll be really close.
Is there a way that you could, for my benefit and maybe for some listeners' benefit, could we have somewhere where you could put your products that you use or the products that we're going to use somewhere, so then we can all kind of reference the same thing?
Yes.
And obviously people can do what they want, but like it'd be just interesting to know.
That's a good idea. I can do that. My last 2, read once a day, and this is again small habit. If it's 1 minute, that counts. Whatever.
Yep.
And meditate.
I like it.
Which I have been doing. I do 10-minute meditation on 10% happiness is the app, but there's a bunch of them. So whatever.
Yeah. Sweet. I sometimes do that. There's a really good Peloton meditation teacher that I go to.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand why people like it. Is it the phase I'm in?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a really hard time with it, but
yeah. I feel like I
I
get
think I'm expecting too much out of it, to be totally honest. I
maybe
think I'm expecting. Yeah,
they all seem the same. You know, I listen to different video through the app every day, and they're all the same thing.
they are. Yeah,
So I
they
feel
are.
I'm just hoping one
They
day it
really
like
are.
clicks and like, oh yeah, that's what it's meant for.
I'm sure it will, dude. I'm sure. I'm people that do meditation. I'm sure
Yeah,
they'll say like, if you just stick with it, like,
yeah,
it's not really about like what they're actually saying. It's like
yeah.
getting yourself in the habit of doing that.
I think we're just bad at it. Honestly, I think that's our
I
issue.
think so too.
Um,
I think I'm too high strung of a person. Like right now, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, this is why like I think getting off our phones a bit is gonna help. You know, we're very
Mm,
connected, especially with our job at Share Practices is very messenger based on the phone.
yeah,
That if we can have time outside of work hours where we kind of put it down a bit and just attend to other things, I think we'd come out better on the other side.
yeah, I agree.
Um, all right, we got a question that's related to this, so I'll ask it. Someone asks, it's anonymous, says, what are some no BS reputable resources for learning about supplements, diet, wellness, and longevity? And I think we've covered a bunch already. You know, the Atia podcast.
My guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Check him out.
The Bowtie Docs guy I recommended. There's a doctor on Twitter I follow who also has a Substack, Dr. Anarchist. He's a doctor in Florida who breaks down being healthy for the normal person and says things that the medical complex doesn't want you to hear. Basically, that's a good
Yeah.
follow.
I will say too, for the person asking the question, like Peter Attia is his entire practice now is strictly longevity. So like he's a trained, I think, cancer surgeon or something, and then got disenfranchised with medicine and got out of medicine and came back and like found something he really likes. So he's like now his practice is strictly everything he does is he takes care of patients, pretty much just like the super rich, but like he takes care of people and like only guides them through their uh for longevity. So everything that he does, every research, every person he interviews is all based around
Should
longevity.
we get on his waiting list? Like, what are we doing here?
You can't. Well, the last time it was posted how much it was 95 grand, and that was pre-COVID.
Is
Just for
that
1 year.
is that per year?
Yeah, 95 grand per year
Ooh,
of just being a patient.
jeez. Rich get richer.
And dude, now he's so big that like
Yeah,
he's been on Rogan multiple times. Like,
yeah, isn't it?
yeah.
We need to find like his
There's a guy in Scottsdale I'm eyeing.
Okay, all right. Keep me
I've
posted.
already
on that.
found him.
Keep me
Yeah.
posted. This person also asked a follow-up question. He said, I've always been skeptical of gimmicky supplements and wellness stuff because anyone and their dog can
Yeah.
call themselves an expert and peddle ideas or products. Always thought that a good diet and exercise will take care of me and have realized that there is more I can be doing. What I would say to that is supplements are essential. The ones I listed being some of them. There's many more. It's almost impossible to get all your supplementation needs in a proper diet. That's what I would say.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, that's hard for me too. I think just as a general rule, I try to tune people out that have any sort of I don't know, any sort of like political affiliation or anything like that. Like I just feel like they can be so easily influenced and stuff, and so I just try to find. I mean, it's taken me a while, and now I finally have like I said, I'm a huge Peter Tia stan just because I feel like it's essentially no BS. It's like and he's like stands behind, like he's done everything that he's telling people, like the whole rapamycin thing we talked about on our first podcast together, and all the other stuff. So the doctor is O Longevity and Wellness in Scottsdale,
that's
Arizona.
Scottsdale. Okay.
Just the letter O.
Let's
O
hope his
Longevity and
fee
Wellness.
is a bit lower than $95,000 a year.
He's a membership-based private medicine program dedicated to providing personalized medical care and for longevity and wellness.
Okay, I'm in. So, all right. So we're gonna check on our progress periodically on these things.
Okay. Yep.
You have the list in our shared doc, Matt. If you want to reference anything we went over.
Okay.
We'll end on. We have one more question. We'll end on this.
Yeah.
This is Alyssa. Thank you for the question, Alyssa. She says, Matt, what is your skincare / facial routine? What are you looking to add this year? So I have a couple essentials. Do you want to go over yours first?
Absolutely. No, she's not asking me. I have zero.
It was to Matt, so that's ambiguous.
I've recently graduated from the 3-in-1 shampoo, body
Lord.
wash, conditioner.
That's
not
rough.
really, but like, I don't like do anything special.
Okay, it's really basic. Okay, so we're gonna do a daily facial cleanser. So that's gonna be in your morning shower. That's gonna be anytime post workout, and that's gonna be right before bed. Facial cleanser in all those times. especially post workout with the all the oils over your skin. Make sure you do that if you don't end up showering after the workout. We're going to use a daily moisturizer with at least an SPF 30 sunscreen in it, and use sunscreen in general when out in the sun, cloudy or otherwise. Sunscreen is important to get a broad spectrum sunscreen, meaning it blocks UVA rays and UVB rays. UVA rays are the ones that are deep penetrating, causing premature wrinkling and aging, and UVB is the sunscreen one or sunburn one. So make sure whatever you get at sunscreen, it's broad spectrum. Super important.
Okay.
But make sure your daily moisturizer has it in there. Use it on your face and your neck. And then you use a nighttime moisturizer.
Sure.
I have brands I use, none that I love so much that I would say. I mean, I think a lot of them are pretty similar. You can add on a lot to this. Like, this is very basic. You could add on stuff like retinols, stuff like toners. One thing I will be doing is starting a facial routine. I think I mentioned that last podcast.
Like getting facials?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do things with chemical peels. You can do things with lasers. You can also go to Botox if you want to just skip all that nonsense. But, for me, it stick with the basics, like the cleanser, the moisturizer with the SPF, and the night moisturizer, and the sunscreen. And when you're out in the sun, that's 95% of what you'll need, in my opinion.
Love it.
So
I've been recently on the facial track. I probably had 3 or 4 in the last 6 months, facials.
You do look glowing. It might be the ring lighting or something.
It's definitely because I have a super bright light blasting in my face right now.
So that's
wow. Hey, 56 minutes and 0 COVID talk. What has gotten into
I know. Do you believe that, everyone?
Next episode's just going to be the COVID palooza. I can already feel
it. I have a full.
I have a lot to talk about too. Yeah.
I have a full page thing on COVID too.
Next time.
I got to give one thing. Let me do one thing.
Let's end us on a positive or not so positive COVID note.
You think I'm giving a positive COVID note?
Before you say anything too, I was just thinking, or I wasn't just thinking about, thinking about it. I'm going to create my own intro music to the show with my guitars and garage band and stuff back here. And then I'll see if you like it, and if you like it, we'll add it to the actual show.
Yeah, if you send it in a file, I can put it on the roadcast really easily.
All right, cool.
Nice, that's awesome. And the next one we do probably will be in person, I would think.
Yeah,
which will be fun.
Next Thursday.
Missing having someone on the couch next to me. Anyways, so COVID update. The mask rhetoric has completely fallen apart. They're finally admitting what I've been screaming about for years, it feels like. The cloth masks do literally zip. So you see that a lot in the news. If you're on Twitter, you see, emerging studies that come out that cloth masks are useless. Well, what they should be doing with that is getting off this mask ramp and stopping the mask mandates. But what are they doing? No, let's use higher quality masks. Let's use surgical masks and N95s. So people have this myth that N95s are effective against COVID-19. And I'm here to tell you they are not.
I think that's been pretty well proven.
You would think. I bet if you ask your parents, they would say they work.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Probably.
There's no seal on an N95. So if humans were mannequins and we had no facial hair and we had no facial movement, maybe they would help. But humans move their jaws. They talk. They have beards. They eat. We move, creating the micro gaps, which allow the virus to come in. So this myth, putting the kids in the N95s I've seen in some places, just horrendous. I mean, I wore those things for maybe a week as a dentist, and I threw them right in the trash. Oh, man, they are bad.
That's
can't breathe in those things. Last thing, I want to congratulate the United States and President Biden on shutting down this virus. He really did what he purported to do. The U.S. hit 1 million cases in one day, which is the most in the entire world. Congrats to President Biden in shutting down the virus. 1 million cases in one day. 1 million.
How many deaths are we up to currently right now?
We are hovering around 800,000. We have not seen a spike in deaths since Omicron. Mostly due to the natural immunity people have acquired, the vaccine immunity people have gotten, and the fact that this strain of the virus seems to be much less deadly. But everyone has COVID. Everyone.
Yeah, I mean, and I think too, the interesting thing that I'll end on COVID is that I don't know it could have been a podcast I was listening to, but They said that, like, at the beginning with when they were trying to do I don't remember the actual it's like the RFD or some sort of, like, calculation that they thought it was gonna be, like, point 0.2 or point 0.3
Hmm.
or point 0.02 or point 0.03, where they thought it was gonna be, what, 1.4 to 1.5 million deaths,
Yep.
and we're about 800,000 and kind of holding steady there. So it's interesting to then, if we don't get to 1.4, 1.5, which it doesn't look like we will now, um, what we did that actually worked and what we did that actually won't work. I think the studies that come out about that will be really, really fascinating because obviously I think the immunity part, the natural immunity part is huge. And I also think that there's like now we know a whole lot more about therapeutics and other there's medicines now that a lot of the medicines have been very politicized. The hydroxychloroquine and the whatever else, what was that stuff called?
Ivermectin.
Ivermectin, the
Yep.
whole thing. But there's been other ones like um, fluvoxamine
Hmm.
and some other, like, I think it was like inhaler or something, that have shown like really, really, really good results. And I think too, like we're learning, and I think hopefully at some point we're adapting a little bit. So I think it honestly, like, overall, from the projections of what they thought it could be, I think we're gonna end up below the 1.4. So that's
Yeah.
good. It's just a matter of, like, the problem is that not everything is working as effectively as, so, like, masks aren't the reason why we're not at 1.4.
Right. And
So, like, it's hard to like, you can't figure out exactly which one is
no, I
contributing
mean,
to that.
and you mentioned something there about all the therapeutics, and they mentioned on that Peter Tia podcast that I listened to most of that. I liked how they differentiated between what do they call them? Like, what do they call people like Fauci and Birx? They called them like like advisors or something, and not real
Oh, yeah,
scientists.
yeah. Oh, it's, advocates versus scientists or
That's what it
something
was.
like that.
Perfectly put. I wish I thought of that. They are
Yeah,
because you've never heard Fauci or Birx talk about fluvoxamine, ivermectin, hydro. I can't say the word chloro, whatever.
right.
Uh,
Yeah,
they only talk about vaccines, which like they are so bought and paid for by Pfizer
right,
and Moderna. It is just so obvious because these
right,
therapeutics work. You know,
right.
what's the one? The monoclonal antibodies, Regeneron. Great
Yeah,
data with that stuff, and
yeah,
the federal government is limiting the supply that states have of this. It's just
right.
blatant.
I think the problem is that a big majority of the American public has a hard time figuring out which scientists are acting as scientists currently or acting as advocates currently, because Dr. Fauci is a scientist,
Mhm.
but he's currently in a role as acting as a public health advocate. So he's saying stuff that he probably doesn't even necessarily, or maybe he does now, but, like, he probably doesn't necessarily even believe. Because, like,
Yeah,
science is supposed to be like they said in the podcast, it's supposed to be messy. Like, it's supposed to
mhm.
be like you test hypothesis and you change based on what
And you
happens
debate.
with the results. Exactly, yeah, and so, like, you have to talk in probabilities, but the problem is if you go in front of the American public and you start talking with, like, a lot of non-answers and you just start talking and, like, kind of talking in circles, like scientists tend to do, because there's a reason why they don't have absolutes. I mean, there's very few things in science that are like, "Absolutely, we know 100% this is what it is," right?
Mhm.
And for sure, a novel coronavirus is not one of those things we know absolutely 100% about, right? So, like, they have to put on their advocacy hats, and then that turns into the point where then, like, people take what they're saying as gospel because they're scientists, but they're actually just acting as, political advocates. And that's why I am kind of trying to figure out people that are politically affiliated and aren't, and trying to kind of go away from those people because it's just hard to get. You don't exactly know what you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Fauci is a non-elected politician. Like
Right.
that's all he is. He's there to support a political agenda, and he's treating Americans like they are children, and that vaccine's the only way. And that's either from nefarious reasons
Yep.
why he's doing that, which is what I believe, or it's just that like he believes in it and he doesn't want anything of the other side to come out, and that's what he says. Who knows?
Yeah.
You have to ask
Yep.
him. But one last thing before we wrap, they just came out again. Sorry, I have to say this. You got me rolling. I can't stop. I know we're past an hour, but they just differentiated a hospitalization with COVID and a hospitalization from COVID. I have been screaming about that for a year
Mm,
because when you're in the hospital as a patient for anything,
right.
they test you for
They'll
COVID
test you.
and they count
Yep.
you as a COVID hospitalization. So hospitalization numbers are artificially inflated because they're testing literally everyone. And
Yeah.
and you know what comes after that, right?
Yep.
COVID deaths. Are they from
Yep.
COVID or are they with COVID?
Right.
How much have we overinflated our death count due to testing everyone who's in a hospital and dying? No, of course people died from COVID. I'm not denying that. But to the
Right.
levels that are reported, it just doesn't make any sense if they're testing everyone and counting them as COVID deaths.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you saw that. I mean, the hospitalization that came out in the next weeks or months, they'll start looking at deaths and they'll say the same thing.
Interesting. Huh.
And I'll end on this. I'll actually end on this. So I, I saw a tweet that I think is perfectly apt, and if you would like to, do what this tweet recommends, you're free to do it now. It says, "Everyone owes their conspiracy theory friend an apology." So anytime you want to do that, I mean, that's I'm ready.
Conspiracy theory.
Yes, I would hope so.
Hi. Tell me why I owe you an apology.
Because everything I've been saying from the start is now coming out as true. And I mean, the hospitalization thing, that was a conspiracy theory take a year ago. The idea that vaccines can cause adverse reactions, especially in children, was a conspiracy theory a while ago. Like the fact that vaccine passports would exist, that you couldn't go to a restaurant without a vaccine, that was a conspiracy theory a year ago. Like on down the list, I give 10 more examples. All things I said were coming and all came.
I apologize.
Ah, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. This is fun. Thank you for that. Yeah, we'll wrap it up. Thank you for listening to our podcast. We will see you all next week on YouTube and on podcast format. Bye.